Well, the Bears weren't able to pull off a shock and stop Whitehaven winning the title as the Cumbrians came down to the Midlands and put in a comprehensive performance to wrap up League One and leave Bears ending the season on a defeat. We've got all the reaction from it and hopefully some footage from the end of season awards. For the last time this season, this is the world's greatest podcast about the Coventry Bears. This is Bear Necessities. Yes, welcome to Bear Necessities, your favourite podcast about Coventry Bears. We live at covbearspodcast.com. We're at covbearspodcast on Twitter. We're sponsored by York's Tim, and you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube too. I'm one of your hosts, Dave Musson. Joining me as always, Craig Cathcart. Craig?
Trying to be positive, Dave.
Yeah,
Trying desperately to be positive, but it's the end of a season. We've shown some progress on the field at times. The last couple of months probably bit of a long slog, but we got here in the end, and looking forward to next year. Yeah, definitely so.
So let's deal with the story of the match first. There's really not much to talk about from a Bears point of view. Final score was 72-0 to Whitehaven, 13 tries for the visitors. They wrapped up the league title in style. And I think before we go on, let's just give huge congratulations where it's due. They're the league champions for a reason. They've been top of the league probably from about midway through, and they've stuck up there. Congratulations to Whitehaven.
Yeah, they fully deserve it. I'm actually, to see the joy on the Whitehaven fans' faces here. They fully deserve it. They've been waiting a long time for this sort of season, and they've been the best team all year. They haven't actually, like some teams have gone out and put loads of points past people. Whitehaven have done enough to win when they've really needed to. They've had some tough games the last few weeks, and they've managed to win when they needed to. They've had some narrow wins against teams that you wouldn't really expect, but they've had togetherness and a spirit, and I think that comes from their decision this year to go with a mostly locally based team. They've got a few players from down under. I think 2 or 3 lads from down under playing for them. They've got a couple of Lancastrians, and then the rest is locally based Cumbrian players, and that's really paid off. You could see that on the pitch. They were playing for each other. They really wanted to go out in style this season, and the Bears really couldn't hold back the wave of attacks from Whitehaven today.
No, really couldn't. And I guess it's interesting that Whitehaven have gone and won the league with that local approach. That's ultimately what the Bears are trying to do. So it is something that can work. It's just probably going to take a bit longer for it to grow here in the Midlands.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back last season, Whitehaven, there was talk that they might not be able to finish the season, and they had a number of players that were on fairly big money. And as I say, they've gone back to basics this year. Coaching and everything has improved, and they've really, as I said, I'm so pleased for them. They've really done well this year, and it's credit to them that they've managed to see out the win today and finish the season as champions.
Definitely so. Well, before we go any further, let's for the last time this year, let's get the post-match thoughts of Bears head coach Tom Tsang. Well, Tom, obviously not the way you would have wanted to end the season, particularly in front of the cameras, but I guess to start, I mean, you were facing the league champions today. They showed why they were league champions today. I guess plenty of congratulations to Whitehaven.
Absolutely. First thing I was going to say is well done to Whitehaven. I think realistically they fully deserve all the success they've had this year, and they play this level of rugby very, very well. Very, very aggressive with their pack, the way they carry, and they're very, very rarely look flustered at any point. When I've watched videos, when they played against us, they don't make errors. They play consistently through 80 minutes, and that's what you need to do at any level, but in particular at this level, because you know that the opposition are going to give you the possession with errors and things like that. So very, very well done to them, and I wish them all the best for next year.
And in terms of your side today, I mean, didn't have much of the ball again for second game in a row, and perhaps looked a little lacking in confidence at times, and a few too many errors defensively. I mean, How did you see your side's performance today?
Yeah, I think we've fallen into the trap today, and for probably quite a few games the back end of the season, where when we've not had possession for periods, we've felt that the need to try and force the issue a bit too much and create something where there wasn't really something to be created, and not really gone through the process of earning field position and earning possession of the ball in the right areas of the field. We've tried to force and push passes that were, like I said, that weren't on, and all that does is it gives the opposition ball that they didn't really deserve, and then you're having to back up defensively, and if you're doing that consistently throughout a game, you're going to be defending more than you should be, and then that opens up the opportunities for the opposition. So it's kind of a false economy when you're trying to do that, but it's also very tempting to try and create that little spark out of nothing sometimes. So it's a lesson for our young team to take, and we've spoken about that sort of throughout the year when we've tended to lean towards that style. But hopefully with a bit of reflection and a bit of time off now in the off season, the players and also us as coaching staff can look back and see where we need to improve.
And I guess it's probably a bit too soon to ask this question, but in terms of thinking of the season as a whole, what are your thoughts on how 2019 has gone? Because it's been a bit disjointed as a season, both in terms of obviously the moving grounds, the disruption to the team over the year, the fixture list has been a bit odd at times. How do you reflect on 2019? Yeah,
I think disjointed is a good word for it. Obviously we started the year looking really good in pre-season and really strong at the start of the year with a completely different 17 players really to the team that we were fielding mid-season and towards the end of the year. So I think if we'd have been able to, even if it wasn't player for player, but for the majority keep the same 17 to 20 blokes playing that we had at the start of the year all the way through to the end, we'd have been in a much better place on the table in terms of wins and losses. But I think although it hasn't helped us this season, those players that have stepped forward that are in their first year at this level, or maybe even second year, that are young, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they'll be much better for that experience, although it didn't help us this year. Hopefully, I'd like to think that going into next year and beyond, that these experiences will be able to strengthen them and improve them.
And if I had to push you for your favourite moment of this year, favourite match?
Obviously, it's got to be between the Newcastle and the Workington game, but I think the way that we sort of shocked the league at the start of the year against Newcastle probably has to be the favourite.
And in terms of now, I take it you take a few weeks off, just leave rugby out of your head for a bit, or are you already working on next year?
Well, we're already have started our sort of recruitment and our retention for next season, and that now kicks into gear. So we don't really, although obviously we're not in week to week, sort of throughout the week training, sort of out of hours, speaking to players, speaking to agents, speaking to different clubs, etc. Probably kicks up a few notches now. So the next priority is to cement our squad for next season as early as we can do, while at the same time obviously still keeping an eye out for other players that may or may not come up. So it's in terms of time out of the house and out on the training field, it slows down, but it certainly doesn't slow down in terms of just rugby in general.
And last question of the season. I think this was my last question for you last season as well. Your 3-word review of 2019 for the Bears?
Ups and downs. I think that probably sums it up. Like there has been some massive, like, ecstatic sort of moments throughout the year, admittedly earlier on in the year, but there really has been some real positives on and off the field, and obviously some of our toughest times since the club's been in the league as well, sort of really testing, but we've come through it. Obviously the club's still here, we're not going anywhere, we'll only ever get better. Tom, thanks as always for joining us on the podcast this season. Enjoy the off season and I'll see you next year. Thanks Dave, same to you. So huge thanks to Tom as always for joining us. So we've talked about Whitehaven, congratulated them, and I think they look set to be fairly competitive in the Championship next year. Let's just reflect before we go over to the end of season awards, just on the season as a whole for Bears, because as I said, there isn't really much to talk about from today's match. No points, barely any ball really. No.
it's a difficult one to assess, isn't it? Because this time last year, we were sort of riding a wave of positivity. The second half of last season was so strong for the Bears. We knew that a lot of the squad had signed already for this year, and I think there were high hopes all around for the Bears to kick on. And the start of this season was really positive as well. Looked like the Bears were going somewhere, but I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's... We've obviously been disrupted by injuries. We've been disrupted by having to move grounds twice. The fixture list, as we've talked about numerous times, has been weird, to say the least, and very disjointed, very disruptive. It's just not really clicked this season, has it?
No, we started well. I think the momentum from the end of last season was carried over into the beginning of the season. We started well, but we've got into a bit of a rut. I mean, the only positive really in the second half of the season was the win away at Scholars, which was a fantastic performance. But aside from that, we have struggled, unfortunately, and I think today you could probably see it, and a number of players just weren't really playing at the top level today. I know that they're better than that. I think overall, though, it's hard off the back of a defeat like today to look at the positives. But overall, I mean, if you'd said to me at the start of the season we'd beat Newcastle and we'd beat Workington, then I would have said, I would have been grateful for that. I think probably the main disappointments was not beating Scholars at home when we should have won that game, and losing away to West Wales. I think we could have probably put up a better fight against Crusaders home and away. I mean, we had a pretty decent performance away at Crusaders, but I think we probably could have won one of those two games. It is overall, though, probably a season of progress again, because whereas 2 years ago we hadn't even beaten an established team from up north, we got 2 more wins under our belts, beating 2 really good teams, beating Newcastle and beating Workington. I mean, that's not to be sniffed at. I think just because those wins were at near the start of the season, I think probably it feels like a bit of a disappointing season, but actually I think overall the progress again has been there. I think there's been a number of games as well where we've been really very competitive, particularly some away games. The away game at Whitehaven, the away game at Oldham, where we put in a really good performance. So it's not all doom and gloom. I think there's a lot of positives to take. There's been some very good individual performances this year. I think injuries have been a massive factor. They've really hampered the team over the last couple of months, and that I think the coaching team have been hampered by that. So I'm overall I'm relatively positive. It is difficult today, I would stress that, but I'm looking forward to a bit of a reboot next year and starting again and seeing what we can do.
So what do you reckon if we were coming up with a score out of 10 for the Bears this season? I'm feeling maybe 6, somewhere 6 or 7, maybe not a 7.
6 or 7. I would have liked us to finish a couple of places higher in the league. I think there was potentially 2 or 3 games that we didn't win when we should have. Overall, though, I mean, it's on a par with most of the seasons that we've had in League One. But as I said, I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, we would have never have thought that we'd beat Newcastle, and we would have never thought we'd beat Workington. So, there's been some really big highs this year, but some quite bad lows. And I think if you even the two out, then it's kind of a par season again. Yeah,
I'd agree with that. So, well, I think that's probably enough from us, really. I think what we'll try and do now, like we did last season, was record some footage from the end of season awards. If for whatever reason that doesn't work, I'll come back on at the end and I'll run through all the winners of the awards. But I guess, given that this is going to be the last time you and I are chatting for this season, Craig, I guess just thanks again for your company all season.
Yeah, thanks. It's been great.
It's been up and down as usual, and I'm sure it will be next year. But let's go and see what happens at the awards.
I mean, regardless of what's happened, as I said, it feels like a disappointment over the last couple of months, but I've had some great highs this season. I've really enjoyed watching the Bears, and I'll be here again next year and ready to go.
As will we both. And it's all part of the journey, isn't it? This isn't, as we've said before, neither of us support the Bears to necessarily be watching a team that wins every week, but it's a team that's going somewhere, and that's the important thing.
Okay, we just got to go through each of the awards. Tom's going to give a brief introduction, and then we're going to make the announcement.
So what we on? So the Young Player of the Year. In previous years we've done a short list, but I think we'll just go straight into announcing who it is. So this player came to us. He's a local lad, which means a lot to us because similar to the Whitehaven guys, actually, we're trying to build our squad as best we can with local lads and local talent and bring those guys through. So. This lad's from Birmingham. It's his first year in League One. He's played pretty much every game apart from that he's been available for. He's been standout for a lot of the time. He plays way above his weights as he's a second rower. His effort levels, his attitude is fantastic, and he's got a very, very big future ahead of him. So this is Jacob Jones. Okay, so the next one, guys that have been involved with the club for a few years will know this, but in previous years we've had sort of top try scorer, things like that, but that kind of skews it just towards outside back, so we changed it a couple of years ago to attacking player of the year. This player, again, we'll just get straight into it. This player he's played every single game. He started off slightly out of position, but once we put him into the position that he ended up in, he just went from strength to strength to strength. He's attracted a lot of attention externally, and deservedly so. I think at one point he scored 18 tries in 18 games, which at any level is very, very impressive, especially for a club like ours. So the attacking player of the year is Elliot Hall.
Thank you. It's obviously been a difficult season, especially as a full-back with halves chopping and changing, but obviously thought Brad and Nate have done a really good job. And yeah, enjoyed the season, and yeah, thanks boys.
Okay, so on the flip side of the attacking player of the year, the next award is the defensive player of the year. There's a lot of guys that were sort of in the mix for this, especially I think teams must look at us and think that we'll get these through the middle, and that's generally where a lot of we're having to do a lot of defending. Today was no different, but this player in particular isn't a middle unit player, but he marks his style of play by being so aggressive and confrontational in defence, and there's not a game that goes by that he plays in that he doesn't make a mark in that way. So the defensive player in the year is Kadeem Williams.
Again, enjoyed the season, first season with the Bears. You know, all the boys, all the fans, really appreciate it. Coming down every game, supporting us. Some games have been tough, but you know, we all stick together, pull through it, and you know, we can't fault the efforts on the pitch. We all put our hearts out on there. Sometimes we bicker, but you know, we get through it at the end, and we're all coming together as a team towards it.
So, most improved player. This guy's been with us for a couple of years now. Last season, an handful of games, pretty inconsistent in and out of the team. got a couple of games here, did pretty well, but then would drop out and come back in now and again. I think he's really benefited from some expert coaching when he was playing for the South of England students.
Is that you?
That was me. And then obviously gone on and got some real good game time with England students, which has then benefited us with the players. He's been really consistent playing for us. Plays well above his weight. He's probably not the same height as me. His hair makes him a little bit heavier though. Massive improvements, as I said. And up, mate, really well done.
Yeah, quite good at speeches, so.
This one's coach's player of the year. This was an easy one for all the coaching staff. We all picked the same player. It's a player that was new to the club this year. From day one, he made a great impression to us as coaches, and he brought some good experience to the lads, which I think really helped the team as a group. He's brought that in, week out. His effort on the pitch has been brilliant, and he's a real leader within the group of lads as well. I think partway through we had to change his position, and again he just started straight in there, did a great job for us, and I think a lot of the players in the room will agree that he's been a great standout performer for us. Nathan Conroy.
Speech, Conroy.
Speak! Yeah, it's been a challenging year. It's been a bit of a different challenge for me. I've not usually play up north, but I wanted a different challenge in my career and change it up a bit. And I've enjoyed the season with the Bears, and all the best going forward and see what we can do for the next few years.
Okay.
Okay.
I think this is the last Players Award, and I say this every year for this particular. It's the Players Player Award, and obviously all the other awards are great. They're chosen by myself and the other coaches, but the Players Player Award is really it's the one that you want to win if you're a player. It's the respect of your teammates. And this guy, I fully agree with the guys that the players have chosen. Leads by example, leads from the front, and he's, for me, he's the best player that I've coached, and he fully deserves this. It's Chris Barrett.
You know me, I don't like speeches. Every year you try and get me to do one, but it's not happening.
This next award is very, very special.
Come on, hey lads, come on, give us this one, come on, please.
It's the Supporters Player of the Year award. Now, can I have one of the? I'll have a few words and I'll let you hopefully back it up. But basically, this award's named after a fan of ours called Dick Griffiths. Probably, well, since day one, 20 years ago, Dick has been was an absolute legendary rugby union player locally in Coventry. He played for Coventry. He played for, I think, more clubs than nearly any player in Coventry. But he was a fantastic supporter of the Bears from day one. You know, he used to invite me around his house for a cup of tea, and we used to talk about the team for the weekend. He used to ring me up in the week and ask me about the team. I always had an opinion, always, you know, had good advice, to be fair, and I always used to be, you know, someone that you could talk to, and the fans could talk to, the players could talk to. Came away on every home game. You know, I'll never forget 2004 when we won which then National League 3. You know, Dick was there every single game. you know, he was always there and he was always able to talk to. I'll pass you over to Tim, who'll you know, give you a bit more context to that and make the award.
Not much I could say really to add to what Alan just said. Dick Griffiths was a super fan and we dedicated this award to him. Very difficult choice this year because been a lot of players who have put in fantastic performances for us. Everybody's pulled together. We've had another really good year. With a big vote, everybody contributed, and in the end, we thought the award would go to Elliot Hall.
Another speech out. Another speech.
I've got nothing else to say, just no, it's been a great year and I've really enjoyed playing with you boys and just all the best for next year and whatever.
Just to finish off, I've got a special award here. Just want to mention a few people as well. You know, the club wouldn't exist without volunteers. People giving up their time. You know, it's always difficult when someone volunteers their time. You want them to contribute. You don't want them to leave, and you want them to stay and be part of the club. And you know, the best volunteers are the people that just get on with it. You know, we've got some great people. You know, Tim. Hugh, Ron, we've got vice presidents, a lot of our fans, Stuart and a lot of the Tim and Jackie and Martin and Katie and everybody that comes along, they contribute in a little way, but it all contributes to the bigger picture. This guy, I think, really deserves this award. At the start of the year, and this is a bit of insight for some of the fans, it was quite funny. I gave a presentation to all the players and I put up on the board, I was like, if there's anything really important, you can talk to me, but otherwise, talk to these guys. The only person on it that was on it were these guys and this other chap, and then Tom actually, I don't know why, but wasn't on it at all. So, and I think, to be fair, this chap has taken that and he's ran with it, and I haven't had to worry about anything. It's always difficult when you get someone that leads the team or is a volunteer, a key volunteer. You know, can you trust them to deliver on what you want them to do? Can you, can they do what you need them to do? And, you know, this guy is absolutely and utterly taking so much pressure off me, off the club, off the coaching team, and he does it without any word of negativity whatsoever. He just gets on with it, and that is absolutely, for me, the personification of a volunteer. Someone that gets on with it, contributes, doesn't, and doesn't take anything, from it, but they absolutely put their heart into it. And so, Ryan Cousins, could you come with the award?
Thank you for, I suppose, having me actually, because I've only been here now 2 years. Well, first official season, helped last year, and spent enough time down in Oxford. So thank you for welcoming me to the club, really, because obviously I came as a sort of outsider to start with, a rival, and obviously now, part of this family, I suppose. The team, players are going to come, go, but we're still, a Bear, aren't we, at the end of the day? So, whatever happens next year, by the way, I'm not leaving, it's not a leaving. Whatever happens, we'll move on and move forward, won't we, really? And try and aim for, what Whitehaven did today. There's no reason why we can't. We've just got to be together, haven't we? So enjoy your breaks. And,
Finally, and this is perfect timing actually. I've got one more award, and it ties in very nicely. You know, thank the volunteers. I want to thank the fans. I want to thank people for turning up week in, week out. This has probably been the toughest year in the 20 years of the club's existence, in my opinion. We've led a bit of a nomadic existence. We've played at 3 different grounds. I'd like to thank Rugby Lions and Ben and the team here have been absolutely outstanding. Best rugby union club I've dealt with in 20 years of being involved with the Bears and been around this area. They've absolutely bent over backwards for us, and I thank you so much for that. You know, we're going back to Coventry next year. We've got a lot ahead of us. The players, I just want to say to you as well, I know it's been tough, guys. I know you've turned up week in, week out. The fans, myself, my family, Debbie, everybody is, you know, we were here behind you all the time. And the guys that have come in, and Joe Reg as well, and the loan guys, you've done a great job. I really appreciate the effort that you've made, and I hope you can see just a little bit of what we're all about. You know, we're a family club. You know, my family's right here, Debbie, and my kids are here. We're a family-run club, and we're a family club at heart. And we try and put that impress that on everything that we do. But the players represent us at the end of the day on the field, and you know, we live and die by what goes on the field. Everyone judges rugby league and judges our club on that as well. But under the circumstances, the players have done a fantastic job. In regards to the coaching staff, these guys again, we've been up against the wall this year. You know, we've had those conversations, what we're going to do, how we're going to get through this. You know, we just got to keep fighting. You know, there's times when you feel like putting the shirt on yourself and getting on the field, and you live and die for the club. And these guys are the sort of guys that would do that, and that's why they've been here for the last 5 years. You know, Mark, Alex, and Tom. And you know, we're all in this together. We really are, and you know, we keep working hard, we keep fighting, and I think the clubs like Whitehaven and some of the big Cumbrian clubs and the clubs in the north, you know, can see what we're trying to do and get behind us and actually give us that credit. We might not win all the time, but you know, it's about what we're trying to do for the sport and what we try and do on the field. And you know, just to commend you guys for what you do, week in, week out, analysing games, getting the players up for it, keeping people fit, you know, it's unbelievable. So thanks for your efforts. I'd like to thank you and Ron, the vice presidents that support the club. Again, you guys, what you do is invaluable, and I thank you. Ron and I have been here from day one, and you know, we've gone through a lot of tough times, and you know, we're here, we'll keep going, and we'll keep fighting. So this award here is an honorary life member award for outstanding service. It's for a guy that I think I met played with him at university, probably 15, 20 years ago. Came into the game and loved the game. And when you get someone that comes from another sport, or especially someone that's local, they come all the way through, they've been with you for 10, 15 years, and they put the body on the line next to you all the way through. I think once we played Bradford Dudley Hill, and you know, his head hit me in the side of my head, and I went down like a ton of bricks. He's got the hardest head in the Midlands. But you know, he's a true friend of mine, true friend of the club. He cut him and he bleeds blue through and through. And so I've got an honorary life membership to Alex Bryan.
Cheers, Boomer. Thanks to everyone, really. I don't know if all of you know, but a number of people do. I'm stepping down from the coaching team now. I had a second kid this year that's 4 months old. The travel and my work life's sort of putting it on me a bit, which is why I haven't been around as much as I was. So I'm having a bit of time out from the game, but I'll still be around the club. But just want to say thanks to all the players and the other coaches, because I wouldn't have stayed around off the field if it weren't for you guys. So thanks for all your efforts. Hopefully I might have, helped you or inspired you or done something that helps you in the future. If not, well, whatever. But we'll have a beer tonight. So.
Get beer, but thank you very much for all your efforts this year, and we'll see you all next year. Thank you.